Peter Blexley's here. Very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
The sun is up, the sky is blue, pretty much. It's going to be the last day before the rains come, apparently. And, of course, when the rains do come, we won't know what to do about that because the water will be too much for us to handle.
That is irrelevant. Lock and load. I'm on a war footing.
Well, I'm glad you are.
Said so.
Well, I'm glad you are, because nobody else seems to be, including the government and including the armed forces. Apparently, we don't have enough armed forces. We don't have enough jets. We don't have enough helicopters. We don't have enough ships. We don't have enough submarines. I mean, we don't have any money. Apart from that, I mean, we've probably got a really, really good fighting force, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm already geared up for my role.
Yeah.
In the Home Guard. Okay. About 100 yards from my front door.
Yeah.
There's an electricity substation.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
So you've got to protect
yeah.
national infrastructure.
Got to do that.
So I reckon a day on the range,
yeah.
just to check that my trigger finger is as smooth.
And to check your eyesight and everything.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, and then give me a uniform.
Yeah.
Day's training. Then me and my mates will take it in turns.
Yeah.
2 of us, of course, at a time.
Of course.
On guard. We will protect the electricity substation.
Well done.
And I was thinking I could speak to the local old bill as well.
Yeah.
Because there's loads of cars getting it round our way.
Okay.
So if they gave us suitable powers, we could run a few like road checks.
Yeah.
Well, roadblocks at night.
Why not? I mean,
in the middle of the night.
This would be a great boon to busybodies, won't it? Where they could just put a uniform on and come up to you in the street and go, "What are you doing here? Would you mind going home? It's past the curfew now, 10 p.m. You know, go back to your house and go back to your wife."
Yeah, but you see, 100 yards from my front door, so I can take a flask of coffee and a chair, right, and I can sit there. And I used to really enjoy working nights, you know, back in the day.
And you can nip back to the loo, I guess in your own house, so it's not a problem.
You know, because a man of my age, you know what I mean?
Don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, and there I am, doing my bit.
So do you think that this will help us to fight the threats? In the Times today, they said China is described as a sophisticated and persistent challenge. Have they been spotted anywhere around Bexley Way?
Let me tell you, when Vlad knows that I'm on the case protecting national infrastructure, he will think again.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, don't worry, because the Ukraine conflict has temporarily degraded Russian conventional land forces. So they're not as strong as they used to be. I mean, here's what I think, okay? I think this is yet another excuse for Keir Starmer to put taxes up. Nothing more. It's got nothing to do with the defence of the realm. It's got nothing to do with the coalition of the willing or us fighting as part of NATO against the forces of evil. It's got everything to do with them all sitting there in Downing Street going, how the hell are we going to pay for everything? I know. Let's say we're going to go on a war footing and raise a load more tax.
To pay for people to come here on dinghies?
Yes.
How about that?
We're strong at home, apparently, secure at home. We can't actually stop people who haven't got guns coming into the country by the thousands.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for the numbers, actually, from Sunday, because we know that nearly 1,200 came on Saturday. Haven't seen a number yet for Sunday.
0 Sunday.
Because it was windy.
Because
it was windy.
Because the wind blew, you see.
Yeah.
But that flotilla of 19 boats that came on Saturday, nearly 1,200 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's staggering.
It is staggering, isn't it?
I mean, and how can both the French and our nation be so ineffective to not be able to prevent 19 boats?
I know.
Imagine if it was 19 boats full of Russian troops.
Right.
Then what would have happened?
Right.
Would we have done something? Or would we have just let them wash up at Dover?
Up on the thing.
Take your pick, have a hotel,
the problem
take
is,
what bit of the UK you want.
The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, has been pretty quiet since Saturday, hasn't said an awful lot, has popped up and said basically it's all to do with the weather. Yeah. You know, and as you say, when it's windy, they don't come in quite so many numbers. But she's like, we can't really stop them when the weather's nice.
Yeah.
Well, why can't they?
Correct.
I had an idea yesterday. You know, up in Pinewood, where they make Harry Potter, they'll have machines up there, right, that create rain and wind and snow.
Yeah.
You get some of those, right? You move them into the channel, right?
Yeah.
When these boats come, do you remember what was that movie with what's his face in it? I don't know. I'll come back to it.
Was it a war movie?
No, it wasn't a war movie. The one where the guy's in a TV show, you know.
Oh, the Truman Show.
The Truman Show, yeah.
Jim Carrey. Great movie.
And he gets in the boat and he goes out to try and escape, but he doesn't realise he's going to hit a wall. But also there's this rain machine, and they just drop rain on him. Can we do that and sort of push them back that way? You know, get one of these big portable Pinewood type arrangements. You know, like something that would be invented by a mad scientist. There must be something we can do.
Yeah. But I'll tell you who else is really, really deathly quiet.
Oh, yeah.
It's all those lunatic left MPs, isn't it? The real nutcase branch of the Labour Party. Yeah, you know, imagine what they must be thinking now about Starmer saying putting us on a war footing. And all that kind of stuff. They must be doing their crunch.
Because they hate the idea of going to war, don't they?
Oh, it's a complete anathema to them.
Yeah. Well, shall we have a look at what he said yesterday? This is him, and of course he had to go, and he always stands in front of people who look completely disinterested. He goes to find as many people as possible who can look as glum as possible and sort of completely unfazed by what he's saying. Here's what he's talking about: war readiness.
And today, following through on this review, I want to set out 3 fundamental changes that we're going to deliver. First, we are moving to warfighting readiness as the central purpose of our armed forces. When we are being directly threatened by states with advanced military forces, the most effective way to deter them is to be ready. And frankly, to show them that we're ready.
Right then. Well, it's a bit like Agincourt, isn't it?
To be ready.
It's very similar to Henry V's speech.
Best way to deter them is to be ready.
To be ready.
Tonight, I will be on duty at that electricity substation, even if I've only got a broom handle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was good enough for Ursula von der Leyen when she was the Defence Secretary of Germany. They didn't have any guns either, because they don't allow them to have guns after what happened last time. But, you know, here's the thing. He's completely and utterly without any sort of sense, isn't he? I mean, he stands there in front of a load of people who've got literally, you know, nothing going on, no reaction whatsoever. And he's standing there talking. He could be talking about anything. He could be talking about Crystal Palace not getting into Europe. He could be talking about, you know, unveiling the new, you know, Pride flag. He could be talking about, but he happens to be talking about war readiness.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks about as frightening as a packet of salt.
I feel so sorry for those people who are lined up behind him.
Yeah,
I
look
mean,
at the faces of those people.
Those youngsters.
They're going, crikey, who is this bloke?
Haven't we got any work we could be getting on with?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd rather be grafting than standing there as backdrop props for him.
And just to prove that he doesn't know what he's talking about, here he is answering the question of whether or not they're going to ever reach 3% of GDP, which is the big question.
On the question of 2.5%, when we won the general election in 2024 last year, we said we'd do 2.5% within this Parliament. As the circumstances dictated, we then brought that forward to 2027. So you can see the way I work, which is being clarity about what we want to achieve, putting in the date when we know exactly how we can achieve it. The same with the 3%. That is what we want to achieve because of the different world that we live in. But I'm not going to put arbitrary dates on that percentage. We will do that as we did with 2.5 in a worked-through way to deliver the capability that we need under this review.
Sorry, I don't know what he was talking about there. I sort of lost interest in the middle of it.
Well, the bit that grabbed me was we won't put any dates on it.
No arbitrary dates.
He doesn't like putting dates on anything.
But he started saying he did like putting dates on things. He said he did put dates on things, and then he says he doesn't.
He doesn't want to be held to account. But, you know, that Jordan McSweeney, who's like head of his comms,
Morgan
isn't
McSweeney.
he? But Morgan McSweeney.
Yeah, the genius. Right? The genius behind the curtain. He's like the Wizard of Oz. You know, he sits there going, yeah, this will work.
I mean, surely that bloke needs to be looking for another job.
You'd think.
I mean, look at last week when Starmer did his other set piece, pieces to the media, you know, with the crowd behind him. And he turned that into a complete kind of press conference about Nigel Farage.
Yes.
When he promoted Nigel Farage.
He mentioned him 16 times.
Yeah. And promoted him, actually, to the head of His Majesty's opposition.
Yes.
You know, as opposed to Badenoch. I mean, the geezer just hasn't got a clue how to do politics, does he?
He really doesn't. Considering he's a politician, it's really not great news, is it? I mean, in the Mail today, there's a piece from Chris Philp talking about how he's basically a liar. You know, because it's not just now the people of this great nation that are calling him a liar. And he put out a tweet, right, in which he says, "You have every right to be angry about small boat crossings. I'm angry too." Can you imagine? Keir Starmer angry. We are ramping up our efforts to smash the people smuggling gangs at source. Hundreds of boats and engines seized. Well, I haven't seen that. Illegal working raids up. Almost 30,000 people return. Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, basically says he's a liar because he hasn't returned 30,000 people. He's returned 30,000 foreign nationals who shouldn't have been in this country. Only 2,000 of them, though, were illegal migrants. 2,000, not 30. So, I mean, the guy is a congenital liar, a compulsive liar, and everybody knows it now. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
And then he goes and does something yesterday. That so many of these politicians, they try to echo or mimic the great orators of our time that we've had as prime ministers. Of course, most notably Churchill, Thatcher, people like that who could stand up and galvanise a nation with a speech.
Right.
And all this bunch of recent times turn on, tune out.
Yeah.
Because they're just
because
appalling.
he talks like an automaton, right? He doesn't make any sense. Let's have a look at what he had to say yesterday about the small boats, which aren't very small.
In relation to border security, I want to be really clear, nobody should be making that journey across the channel, and it's our duty to make sure that we ensure that they don't. We are working very closely with our counterparts in France and elsewhere to take further action in northern France, and of course we are giving enhanced powers to our own law enforcement through the Borders Bill, which is currently going through Parliament. The reason we stood down the Rwanda scheme was because it cost a fortune and only a handful of people went on a voluntary basis to Rwanda, and it didn't deter anybody. I'm not up for gimmicks. I'm up for the hard work of working with partners, enhancing the powers that law enforcement have in my determination to take down the gangs that are running this vile trade.
Oh, he's going to take the gangs down now. I thought he was going to smash the gangs. He's taking them down now. Taking them down.
Forgive me for repeating myself.
Yeah.
But on Saturday, 19 boats with just under 1,200 people were able to wash up on our shores.
No, they didn't just wash up, right? Yeah. They only have to come halfway.
Exactly.
We then pick them up.
Yeah.
The border force goes, oh, never mind those little boats you're in. They look a bit sketchy. So why don't you come on board our boat and we'll bring you back into port. Yeah. And that way you can get a nice blanket, a nice bit of pizza, maybe some sandwiches. Have you got a phone? No. You lost it, have you? OK. Where are you from? Iran. Are you? OK. Do you have friends here? Oh, yeah, I've got family in Leicester. Oh, in you come then. No problem.
And welcome to a country that is on a war footing.
It's a war footing.
So you're now going straight to Salisbury Plain, where you will be put through 13 weeks of arduous military training.
Combat training,
After which you will serve in the British Army.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And also working with our counterparts in France, right, who were last seen taking pictures of the illegal migrants as they were leaving their shores. You know, au revoir, as they were pushing them off, taking pictures for presumably their scrapbooks. They're not exactly trying to stop them. One of the government ministers, I think the other day, claims that the French are going to start arresting them in the water. Why would they do that? Why are you going to arrest somebody for leaving? I said this yesterday. Why would you arrest anyone for leaving the country when you don't want them there?
So 1,200 on Saturday. They'd now be into their third day of military training.
Yeah.
Because we always hear they're all fighting age men, aren't they?
They are.
So we just stick them on coaches, send them straight to Salisbury Plain, where they can be introduced to some of our brilliant regimental sergeant majors who will knock them into shape. They'll get a haircut and all that kind of stuff, fit them out for uniform and turn them into fighting age men. They will, of course, swear their allegiance to the UK because they're so happy to get here. They will.
Can we not be like the start of Full Metal Jacket where they shave their heads as well?
They will learn English, of course. They'll be fully fledged, proud British citizens serving in our great military. There you go, I've solved it all.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Done on a Tuesday.
Ian from Lancashire says, if we're on a war footing, does that mean it's not safe for people to claim asylum? I mean, that could be an interesting one.
What a brilliant point.
Yeah, well said, Ian. I don't know is the straight answer to that. We'll have to take a little pause and consider our position, obviously, because we may have to keep an eye out the wind. Maybe we should open the blind up in case there's any missiles coming in. You know, because you've got to be on your guard at all times. You know, you see an Exocet coming up the River Thames. You know, you get out of the way.
Should we get hold of makeup? See if they've got some camo paint.
Good idea. Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. I'll come in tomorrow in full dress uniform.